only had one person to depend on when I was on the streets, and that was me. But it took Macy a long time to get me to even talk. I just sit there and work my crosswords or read my book. And I'm okay.
Lots of crosswords.
And finally, they broke me down. And I went from a poor lost soul to a solid, stout human being again. And it feels good. It feels real good.
People of Creston City, people of everywhere around the world, this is David Christopher Pacheco.
Hi, my name is Kimmy.
My name is Arthur Ortiz. Been in Denver since 1973.
Okay, so let's just talk in circles for a little bit.
Just talk in circles, just shoot the breeze a little.
Yeah.
Now they see beyond what I look like. They see what my actions are and say, hey, that is a good person.
A lot of people say home is where the heart is, but my heart's in many places. It's just I don't know where home is.
Welcome back to Homeless But Human. I'm Blake, back with my co-host.
Hey everyone, it's Shayla.
And today we have our podcast editor. Our podcast editor behind the scenes coming out live is Macy.
Our beloved Macy.
Our beloved Macy. Macy, hello.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you on this side of the
I
microphone.
know, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
Macy has kind of a fun journey with Christ in the City as she started with the program as a missionary for 2 years and had a great 2 years as a missionary.
Great 2 years.
2 years. And she actually has just been hired full-time for our communications team.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Me too. I'm also very excited for our actual topic today. We get to talk about Chuck's story. Macy still continues to see Chuck on a regular basis. And Chuck's actually now in housing. I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but this podcast today is all about Chuck and his story. And it's a very powerful one.
Yeah.
And I've just recently been able to meet Chuck with Macy. Just a very incredible person. So we're excited to share Chuck's story with you today. And we'll go ahead and share with you this interview that we took with him. Macy, you want to tell them where we took
Let's set the scene. Let's set the scene, Macy.
So Chuck lives in an apartment now, and he loves the rooftop of his apartment. He's always wanting to go up there. Anytime we come over, whether it's with Shayla or whoever I'm with, he always wants to go to the rooftop. It has the best view of the city of Denver and the mountains. It's beautiful. Super windy up there, so sorry if you hear so much wind. And when Shayla and I went a couple weeks ago to visit him, he had made us hamburgers, right?
It was burgers.
Burgers, a cute veggie tray that he made the night before. It was amazing. And he made homemade chocolate pudding with bananas in it.
Like my grandma makes it.
Yeah.
He had it in mugs already prepared for us, like colored mugs for us. And we were just eating our homemade chocolate pudding up there while we recorded his interview. It was awesome.
So we have rooftop, wind, mountains in the background, eating chocolate pudding with a man who was sharing his story.
Yes.
And not only that, but from a place I don't think he believed he'd be at a few years before. And that is where we will dive in to Chuck's story.
Hi, this is Chuck Davis, good friend of Macy's. And they're the ones that are responsible for me getting my act together and getting a place and coming out of my shell, being able to talk to people, knowing that I can depend on somebody now. I only had one person to depend on when I was on the streets, and that was me. But it took Macy a long time to get me to even talk. I just sit there and work my crosswords or read my book. And I'm okay.
Lots of crosswords.
And finally, they broke me down. And I went from a poor lost soul to a solid, stout human being again. And it feels good. It feels real good.
How long were you homeless for?
Ever since I was 11 years old. I was running away from home ever since 11 and a half years old. Dad's a drunk. Your mom puts up with it. You can't do nothing about it. Or you get your crap beat out of you, something like that. I just got tired of it. And a couple of times they brought me back. Finally, I managed to escape. A lady picked me up on one of the loops going into Chicago, and she had 2 kids with her and a big dog. And like I said, I wasn't 12 years old yet, but she picked me up. She took me home with her, treated me just like her kid for a while. And I stayed with them about 4 years. Took off. Been on my own ever since. It's not as hard to talk about now, but I couldn't have done this 6 months ago, or well, a year ago. I couldn't. I wouldn't. I just wasn't that way. I was always on the go. I was never in one place. Afraid to be in one place, I guess. I don't know. Afraid of people getting too close to me. And you guys finally did something about that, but that's all right. I really have to praise Brittany and Macy and the whole group, because I couldn't have done it without them. I wouldn't have done it without them. I'd still be out there.
Do you remember first meeting Macy?
I do.
Can you tell me about that?
Wasn't it close to my birthday or something like that?
I think that's when we first got really close. I met you in the beginning of the year.
You know, they would go start at the top, beginning of the line, and speak to everybody.
Yeah.
And they always stayed a little bit longer and a little bit longer with me. Next thing you know, I'm walking with them and everything.
He was a hard one at first, though. Didn't want to talk to us in the beginning. But you were always 1, 2, or 3 in the line.
I didn't.
Always in the beginning.
I couldn't let somebody get close to me. I didn't know how to handle it. And now, you know, it's a different story. Way different. And that pudding's good. I gotta say.
It is good.
Yeah.
Chuck, what's been the biggest difference you've noticed in yourself since getting off the streets?
My attitude. I'm hunting for friends in this building.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would say that.
You want community.
Yeah. And everybody else is kind of like I was for when I first met you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I didn't want to talk to you guys. I didn't know how to handle it or accept it.
Yeah.
And now I can accept it. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that before. It just wasn't there. Because we didn't have it when I was a kid. I didn't know what love was. Love was a punch in the face. Punch in the chest. You know, make you eat something you didn't like. Make me hate you. And it did. Even though when I was in the service, Red Cross got a hold of captain on board ship, told him my dad wanted to see me before he passed on. He was dying of lung cancer at 46. So they flew me from Manila Air Force Base in the Philippines into Little Rock, Arkansas. I treated them with respect when I went from saw him. I just couldn't get it out of my head the way he'd done it. And that's why I don't dwell on it too much now. You get to thinking on stuff like that, it's not good. You got a whole new chapter. Each page is different. And thank God for Brittany and Macy. And now you.
Thanks, Chuck.
You guys you glow, man. I just can't. You got to really like what you do. That's all I can say. I know I glow.
You do.
I do. I feel it.
You have a lot of joy.
Yeah. And I'm not so nervous as I used to be.
Yeah. You
Smoking.
laugh a lot.
I laugh a lot. I watch the Three Stooges. They come on at 5 o'clock.
That's good to know. Chuck, maybe do you want to talk about when you got your ID and that process of kickstarting that whole thing?
Wow.
So that was kind of the big turning point for you.
Yeah. If you don't have ID or Social Security card, you can do nothing. You can't get any work. You can't stay in a mission. Yes, that's true.
What was it like getting the news that you were going to be getting into housing soon?
Couldn't wait. Couldn't wait.
Could you believe it?
No. I told Brittany, I said, I won't believe it until it actually happens. She knew the people, she knew the right people, contacts or somebody, all that stuff. So, and church in the city will always have a special place in my heart. Christ in the city, I mean.
You got it.
They'll always have a special place in my heart. And mi casa is your casa.
Did you ever try to get into housing before meeting Macy
No.
or Brittany? So what do you think inspired you to finally make that step?
Because they finally broke my shell. They finally brought me out of it. And I was able to, once you start communicating with somebody again, it doesn't take much longer. You'll reciprocate it.
I'm curious if you can talk about, has faith played any role in meeting the missionaries, or has your faith been changed at all?
In the first place, I didn't have any faith before I met Christ in the city. And after time, I learned that I could have a little faith. And it bloomed a little bit more. And so finally, it just bloomed all the way. And now I have nothing but love for you guys. I had love for you then, but not like this.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, I'd still be out there, or I may be dead. You know, this couldn't happen any other way.
Do you want to talk about the day that you moved into your apartment a little bit? Do you remember the date?
March 19th.
March 19th. I'll never forget it. St. Joseph's Feast Day.
You know, I knew the day before
Yep.
that I was going to be moving in, so I didn't sleep at all that night.
You're like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't calm down, man.
Yeah. You had the
And-
biggest smile on your face that day.
I still do.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's just a whole different life.
Yeah.
I'm a human being again. You know? If I want to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and go outside and walk Oswin, I can do it.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about the cops saying, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
I don't know, it's great.
Yeah.
And
What was the hardest thing about living on the streets, in your opinion?
doing without. You have to wear a pair of socks 10 days. Or whatever, you know. You can't change your clothes because you don't have the clean clothes to put on. You get money to buy it. Or you don't want to go to these places because you're going to get in a fight in the lines and stuff. So you don't deal with it. And you learn to do without. Like we ate one peanut butter sandwich at lunch and a cup of soup if I could eat it, because it had spinach or kale in it, and I couldn't do it. So most of the times I had one peanut butter sandwich.
Chuck doesn't like vegetables.
I like vegetables,
You
just
don't
not.
like spinach and kale.
I like peas and green beans. I did eat collard greens one time.
Yeah, good job. What's been your favorite thing about being in housing now? Your life changed a lot in the last year.
I can drink coffee anytime I want, take a shower anytime I want, and as many as I want. I'm clean, man.
You are clean.
And I wish my tattoo would go away now. This one ain't never going away. And this one, that was.
Yeah. Do you have any? So you were homeless for like over 40 years. Yeah.
I'm 69 now.
I think I just have one more question, unless maybe you do.
You're great.
Do you feel like you're actually living now?
Yeah. Yep. I'm alive. I'm alive. I see it every day. I feel it every day. Just every time I talk to somebody on the telephone, hey, I'm talking to somebody in my house on the telephone.
Yeah.
I'm taking my dog out for a walk out of my house. This is my second year.
I know. Oh, I know.
This is unbelievable.
Yep. Almost a year and a half now.
Unreal.
Yep, coming up on 2. I'm so thankful that we met. That
I
you
am
became
too.
my friend.
Thanks, Chuck.
I couldn't have better friends. Couldn't have better friends.
We're like a family now.
And
You're the best too.
Like I said, you guys come over anytime you want. Just call up, say, we're coming. I said, well, give me enough time so I can go to the store. You can open my freezer.
Always got ice cream in there though.
I ain't worried about meat. I got a whole freezer full of meat.
And a cup of ice cream every night.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
bowl.
I have a bowl like that.
Is there anything else you want to say to Christ in the City and our listeners?
Thank God you're out there doing your thing for everybody. We appreciate you. God bless you.
Amazing.
Thanks, Chuck.
You betcha.
When we were leaving, hanging out with Chuck and doing this interview, we both were just like, wow.
Yeah.
Just in awe almost
Yeah.
of like how amazing he is and how willing he is to share where he has been and how far he's come. So we're very grateful for Chuck. Macy, do you want to tell us kind of on your side of things how it was like first meeting Chuck and when you first met him?
So I met Chuck my very first day as a missionary.
Day one,
I met Chuck.
Day one.
At the food line that I served at as a missionary. He was always doing his crossword puzzles. He always had a crossword puzzle in his hand and just like never actually looked up. Like I'd say, hi. And he would just kind of, hey, like little wave with his pen in his hand and go back to his crossword puzzles. And I just remember thinking, well, I knew about him from another missionary that was on the route that I was on the year before.
Yeah.
And she had kind of told me to like look out for him. And so I remember thinking like, I feel pretty determined that I will be this man's friend. I'm pretty stubborn. And
that is a Macy comment right there. I will be his friend.
I just felt like kind of this duty like to the other missionary of like, I do want to like check on him and make sure he's okay. And because I'm sure that was hard, like the missionary he was close to the year before, just not being there anymore. In the beginning, it was really, really hard to kind of like feel connected to him, I guess, and just saying hi a lot of mornings without getting much of anything. And then just like through a lot of persistency and consistency, I think on both of our ends, we just eventually like would have good conversations about like very surface level things at first. The weather. Oh, look at that bird over there. There's so many people in this line. And then
the normal there.
Like,
That's just so normal.
Yeah.
The small talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could tell that he wanted to say more, I guess. And I also wanted to hear a lot more. And there was just a particular day, maybe like halfway through my first couple months as a missionary, where I just remember I was like, I'm going to ask him deeper questions. Like
nice.
the other missionary that walked with me, him and I were just like, we're going to do this. And I just remember being like, how long have you been on the streets? And he said over 40 years. And I just remember like my jaw dropping. I said something along the lines of like, do you ever see yourself getting out of here? And over again, he would say to me like, I've accepted I'm going to die out here and I'm okay with that. But with no emotion and just like straight face every time.
Sad.
And it like actually ruptured my heart, I think, every single time he said that. And just made me sad for him, you know? And I could also tell that like he was sad that he was saying that, but it was so numb. Like he had just accepted this is what's going to happen. And then we started to take him to lunch, or we started to like go on walks with him during our daily route. And I like particularly just started to sit with him a lot more in this food line, just like hoping he would give me something, I guess. And it was a very slow process. And actually the first time that I feel like we got really close, he had just ran a 10-mile race. And he brought his medal. Yeah, he's a runner, let me tell you. I just remember he brought his medal. And he was so proud to show me this medal that he had from the race that he finished, like in the mountains, 10 miles. It was amazing. And after that, we like went and got lunch and like celebrated. It was like Subway. We had a Subway gift card.
Oh, nice.
And we went to celebrate him. He got a cookie. And then we walked back to his camp with him. And that was pretty surreal too, of just like, okay, he like lives under this bridge. He lives right here. And I'm like in his home right now. And it was cold. I remember it was snowy. He had 2 blankets and he was like, I'm going to be fine tonight. And I was like, there's absolutely no way. And then after that, we actually didn't see him for a couple weeks. And obviously I was freaking out.
Yeah,
like,
those are rough.
where is
Those
he?
are rough
Yeah,
few weeks.
Where is he? I mean, it's snowing a lot more, but also he just ran a 10-mile race in the snow in the mountains. He must be okay. I could never do it, I think.
Right.
But he's been doing it for 40 years. And the other missionary and I actually like went to his camp maybe a couple weeks after that to try to look for him. And we found him like buried under this pile of snow with a tarp over him. And we just like kept yelling his name, like, Chuck,
Oh
like,
my
are
gosh.
you there? And like, we didn't know for sure if that was him either. I mean, there's people under the bridges all the time. And he just like popped his head out and was like, I'm okay, I promise. And then was like, I have to go back in or I'm going to get too cold.
Oh
And
my
like,
gosh.
we just like stood there and stared at each other for a second. Like one with like, okay, we know he's okay and he's alive. Two, do we just leave now?
Yeah, like what do you do?
What do we do? And we left. I mean, what else? I didn't know what else we could do. And then the sun came out the week after and he came back around the line. And I just remember that was the turning point where I was like, I feel like his actual friend now. That's kind of when we started the process of like, Chuck, would you ever think about like getting an ID or applying for housing? And he was just so like wounded and jaded by the system, obviously, because it's a whole thing to go through that process. Yeah, at one point he was just like, I trust you guys. And if you think we can do it, then like I'm in. Yeah. And I remember that being like a big task. Like my first year as a missionary, like, okay, he trusts us. We cannot let him down.
Right.
He doesn't trust many people.
Google search. How do I get an ID?
Literally. I'm like, how does this process start? And thankfully, like I had done it a couple times with some other friends. And so I kind of knew how the system worked a little bit. And we applied for his ID. And I mean, because he's older and a vet, it was a little easier to go through that process, which helped in his favor. Got his ID. After he got it, actually got stolen. So we had to go through the whole process again, which sucked. I have a picture of him the first day we got it and like the biggest smile on his face. He was wearing a blue shirt, I remember, and just the biggest smile. And then like literally the week after it got stolen, just had to go through that again.
Yeah.
But I was thankful that he like trusted us again. Like we're in this together. I'm not gonna like just leave because this is annoying at this point.
Right.
Got his ID, got the birth certificate, got the social security card. And then met a case manager, and he mentions her in the interview. Her name's Brittany. She's amazing. And started going through the process and eventually got a voucher for a motel for a while and then got into housing.
Your persistence with him, you had to think, and like that Chuck knew that, right? And like you knew it too. You knew you were going to persevere for Chuck, right? Like you can hear it in your voice, even as you say it, like, I'm not giving up on this guy,
right?
You know, and like, gosh, I can't imagine what that meant to him and what that still means to him as you see him so regularly. And I mean, my question for you, Macy, is day one, right, at Christ in the City. I can't assume where your mind and heart was, but the common missionary experience is I'm going to go to the streets, help someone out, kind of, you know, save their life or something like that, just because we're so ambitious at that time.
And stubborn.
Yeah, and stubborn. But how has he changed your life?
Yeah. I was actually telling Shayla this after we left his apartment that Chuck is he's so special to me because it is actually a give and take relationship and we're both like equally in it with each other.
And that's friendship, right?
Yeah. And he has shown me like true and genuine friendship and like what pure love in that looks like. Yes, he just cares so deeply about me. I mean, like he sees me and like cares in ways that like a lot of people in my regular day to day don't. And it's truly like the Father's eyes looking at me is what it feels like most times with him. And I remember I like was telling him about something that happened. Like a little argument my sisters and I got in. If you're listening to this, love you guys. He was just like, he looked at me and he was like, Macy, like it hurts me to see you hurt. And I'm telling you, like coming from someone who doesn't have a relationship with their family at all, it's worth fighting for. And I just remember being shocked. Gosh. Yeah. Like he was like, no, like this is something worth like risking your heart for and like diving into. I mean, he's just a good friend.
He's just like, it's very pure.
Yeah.
Like that's it. When Macy said pure, that really resonates with me. His love and the way he portrays himself is in such a pure way that he just wants to like connect with people. And that didn't come from like an easy place. Like he was even saying, like right away, you know, he had a hard exterior. I think he said, I was a poor lost soul and now he can be a solid human being again. And that like it's so cool because Macy and your other street team partner that was walking with you, you guys didn't just go up to him and say, hey, like we can help you get an ID and housing right away. Like it was months of friendship before you even like introduced that. Like it had to start with friendship, you know?
And it makes it that much more special. Like
absolutely.
The day he got his ID, the day he moved into housing, it was like, wow, I care about you so much that this is like even more special for the both of us, you know?
Totally.
I mean, Macy, on that first day, you said you met Chuck, but you'd heard about him from someone before. And that's at Christ in the City, we really try to pass these relationships. We try to never leave the homeless abandoned when we end our volunteer year.
Yeah. I mean, Chuck still talks about Claire was the missionary before me. And kind of how she just like had a great smile that he felt safe around, which is beautiful. And I think because Claire was able to be with him the year before that, I think he wasn't, I mean, he was standoffish towards me, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he was as standoffish as he could have been. And I also think my street team partner was Isaiah, and I think having another guy too felt safe, you know? Like, I think Chuck felt safe, like, oh, there's a guy here that I can also connect with. And there's a woman who, like, seems nice, I guess.
You?
Yeah, me.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. Who would have thought? I think having two of us also helped a lot. Because, I mean, it also didn't feel like it was totally on me. I had a street team partner who I trusted, who cared about me, who cared about Chuck, and we were kind of in it together, which helped a lot.
Because there are those days where you probably didn't want to talk to him.
Totally.
And Isaiah was like, I got this.
Totally. And Isaiah loves Chuck so much.
And there are probably days Chuck was like, I don't want to talk to Macy today.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but
actually,
Isaiah.
I don't think so, but maybe.
Well, we'll see what Chuck says. We'll have to ask him.
Yeah, ask him. He called me to invite me to bingo this weekend.
Please tell me you went.
Well, no, it's this weekend.
Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? It's
amazing. It's amazing.
Bingo Chuck.
He's just a human. Like, he's doing human things. It's amazing. He loves it. Yeah. He's alive. He's alive.
He's alive.
He's alive, and he says it himself. Like, he is finally alive and thriving and living. And he's the one hunting for friends in his building now. You know, he's the one trying to build that community.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, he'll tell me all the time that it's like really hard to not have like good friends in that building. And he's trying so hard to get good friends. And I think that we've been able to just model for each other what good friendship is. In the same way that like when I go into a new setting, I want to make good friends to feel more comfortable and at home. Who doesn't want to feel known in their space that they're living and breathing in every day.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that when he was on the streets. It was so very different for him. I think that he still struggles with it, which is obviously like sad for me to hear when I go over and I'm like, I wish I could just be here every day. But like life continues and we continue with our friends in a different way when we're not missionaries anymore. And I think that it's caused both of us to kind of go outside of our comfort zones. Like Chuck is being challenged to meet new people in ways that he has never been challenged before, which is just really cool that he like is up for the challenge. You know, he's like, I want new friends. I want a community. And I care so much about myself that I want people in my life. Right. It's just amazing to see, and it's still a struggle for him, but he's trying so hard. And whether that means going to bingo to meet new people, that's why he goes to bingo.
Totally.
Right.
He walks his dog around his building because he wants to meet new people. He goes to the park because he wants to meet new people. Yeah. It's not so much of an isolated thing anymore. It's like, I'm doing this because I want to be a human again and like share this humanity with other people as well.
You know, we talk so much about relationship and how big ruptured relationships are on our friends' journeys on the streets. And it's like, he has seen like everyone in the world. Like we've seen ruptured relationships and we've seen the joy of relationships.
Yeah.
And he is like fighting for that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Just like he encouraged you to do with your sisters. Right.
It's
like,
amazing.
It's like, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like it's worth it. Fix that rupture. Like get in relationship.
And he'll say often like, this is my second chance. I don't want to like let it go to waste, which is so, I'm like, how many times do I just like let a friendship die, or I'm not a good friend to someone and I'm just like, whatever, you know, we should all have his outlook. Like, I get a second chance. I'm not going to waste it. Like, this is my life and I want to live well. It's amazing.
Chuck, thank you for your wisdom. My goodness.
He's very wise. It's just so pure. Someone like Chuck makes me question daily how do people end up on the streets? Someone like so human, so like, quote unquote, whatever we think normal is. Someone just being like, how do they just end up on the streets for 40 years with nobody questioning anything? It's just crazy to me.
I just want to say thank you to Macy for for inviting me into a friendship with Chuck, and getting to spend time with him too has been just such a gift in the short amount of time I've known him. So thank you. And thank you for being willing to like share this story, because it's really beautiful.
Thank you guys. This has been great.
And yeah, I just love how much you've brought people into it. You know, it's like, Chuck, come meet my friends. You're my friend. Let's meet my other friends. And it's just enriched his life so much. I also just want to thank Chuck for putting up with you. I want to say thank you, Chuck, for still being Macy's friend, even when you don't have to be. You are just such a gift to all of us for doing such an act. And Chuck, there's a special place for you in heaven for this one.
Everyone, don't worry. Blake tells me on the daily that I'm his best friend, and he's so thankful for me.
Just exactly like that.
Chuck's story is worth sharing. He's the best.
And thank you to all of our listeners tuning in with us this week. We hope that you're truly inspired by Chuck's story, and that you're willing to maybe start talking to someone new and start forming a relationship. And it might be, you know, a long process, but we've seen it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Macy did, man, what a great example for both you and Chuck. Like, you were both persistent and persevered, right? To all our CIC family, I think that's just something that we always have to be reminded by our friends is keep it going, you know, don't quit.
It's worth it.
All right. We love you all. We will see you in a couple weeks. God bless.
Bye.
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 Mother Teresa, one of our patrons, would say, if I look at the masses, I will not act. If I look at the one, I will. Because of these one-on-one encounters, because of people like you stepping out of your comfort zone, this mission is spreading. This mission is making its way into parishes, schools, seminaries, and communities nationwide. We have families making care kits for the homeless, college students coming on week-long mission trips and then going back on fire to serve the poor in their cities, seminarians and small groups across the country doing Christ in the City style street ministry. This mission is becoming a national and worldwide endeavor, and we're so happy you're here. For even more in-depth Christ in the City training, videos, and interviews with the homeless, we invite you to join our known and loved monthly giving community. This is one of the most impactful ways you can join us in this mission. Visit christinthecity.org and make a monthly gift today to join our known and loved community and receive a special Christ in the City gift. Imagine with me for a moment if every homeless person had one friend who cared about them. What a difference that would make in the world. And what if that one friend is you? You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, podcast platforms. And do us a favor and go hit subscribe and leave us a review. God bless you.